my goodness. Hey, sweet souls. Hello, hello, hello. Please forgive me in advance. I am 5 minutes late. I am behind schedule. How dare I? And it just seems like one of those moments where everything that you thought you planned didn't go as according to plan. But no worries. We're here for some fun. We're here for some conversation. We're here to converse and kind of get to know each other and talk about basically spiritual topics that are of interest to you guys. So today is the first Friday of the month, and I'm thinking about making this a more regular situation where on the first Fridays we do a Q&A and we just discuss anything that's interesting to you. We unpack things that are interesting to you. We discuss topics, and it's not a reading session. It's different. It's a conversation. Because I remember recently one of our ladies had talked about how she enjoyed that session because she doesn't have a lot of people to discuss these kind of topics with, and that has to change. So I definitely want to do my part to change this. Now, I am aware, it seems like, at least on my side, that there's a tiny bit of lag. And so if the video is choppy to the degree that it's not viewable or not comfortable to view, I will kill the live stream and create a new one. So please let me know if your experience is getting wonkadoo, just because I want to keep up on this and not let you guys down. Hello, Sandrine. I see you're here. Sweet. I know that we have a couple new people that are going to be coming to hang out with us. My dear sweet pea, Mindy, let me know that she's inviting a friend of hers to come and join the fun. I know that she had some questions specific to the Cycle of the Moon Tarot Journal that I designed. And so today I'll definitely be talking about that live with anybody who's interested, and also share how you can pick up one if you're interested, or we can just like, hey, this is what it is. This is what it'll look like, and call it good. I do want to also cover like what the game plan is for this month, because we do have a couple of things in the pipelines. And I just want to make sure that, you know, everyone knows when the Patreon live sessions are. Hi, Tiffany. Hey, Lori, when the Patreon live sessions are, when the Facebook live sessions are, just so you have access to all that information, so that no one is amiss. No one is amiss. But yes, please let me know that you can see me and that you can hear me, because I really don't want to be the only talking head in the room. So I hope this goes well. Hello, Debbie. You guys, tell me where you're from, because it's like, Lori, I know you, but Miss Tiffany, when was the last time you told me where you were from? Miss Debbie, I believe you're a little bit on the newer side. Where have you been? Oh, Mindy's here. Good. I'm glad you're here, sweet pea. I'm glad you're here. Mindy, if I remember correctly, wait, hold on. I used to know. Let me share with you how terrible my memory is, right? Hold on. You told me where you're from, and now I can't recall. Are you from Washington? You're not from Washington. Okay, you'll have to tell me where you're from, Mindy, because now I don't remember. Oh my goodness. Lori's from Minnesota. Remember Midwest. You're located in Virginia. Nice. So East Coast is being represented well. I want to make sure that in the work that we do try to accommodate most of the coasts. Because it's like, I love working at night. That's my sweet spot, because my brain comes alive. But late for me here on the West Coast is insane for people on the East Coast. So that's why I try to remember. Mindy's in Florida. Okay, for some reason I had that memory, but I wasn't certain of it, so so I didn't want to, like, you know, throw it out there and be totally wrong. I normally button this shawl and be all cute, but then I realized how boring it was looking at me with just this little thing buttoned. So I don't know. I might go back and forth. It's not a wardrobe malfunction. It's a terrible choice in wardrobe is what it is. But anywho, you guys, so like we just mentioned, I love to tell you about who I am. You guys seem to know already, and I love you for it. But if you don't happen to know, my name is Abby. I'm a full-time professional psychic medium and a reseller. So I resell new and used tarot cards on the Etsy platform. And I am fortunate enough to be able to say I'm officially running a 6-figure business on there. So kind of know a thing or two about tarot. And I'm so proud of my store. And I have no problem sharing, conversing, talking shop around tarot or reselling. That's how Mindy actually met my wife and met me. This month, you guys, we're doing three, this counts for 3 Facebook Lives. One is this Q&A. The 2 others are going to be demonstrations of the skill set. So we'll be able to watch what it'll be like to have a live face-to-face session with me privately, except we're doing these readings publicly. So it's kind of like pull the curtain back and see what it's like to get a reading done with me. Oh, Pete, hello, hello. So nice to see you. Glad you're here, hun. I have to totally know now what time is it in your area. And Denise, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate your congrats. I forgot I can totally click on these things, so I totally now have to hop back in. I almost know where the sun is these days and can kind of like avoid it. So I'll be hopping back and forth in and out of shot. But yeah, we have, okay, so this Friday is this live, or today is this live. Next Friday is the demonstration. I'm doing that following Saturday. So if we look at a calendar, I'm doing that following Saturday. Let's go to month, week, month. There you go. We're doing the following Saturday, the, what do we call it? The Don't you love it when Google just decides it's going to refresh right now? So we're doing the 11th live on Facebook. We're doing a Patreon session at 5 p.m. on the 12th. So that's the only time in which I'm going to have those two back to back. And it's just so that we can continue to do two lives on Patreon and two lives on Facebook. So the 12th is for Patreon. The 18th is, I believe, Facebook again. That's right. Got the live prep. And then the 26th is back for Patreon. So it's just like every week it's bouncing back and forth. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Oh, Pete let me know that it is 10 p.m. that time. So that means this time slot is actually pretty good for most of the globe that engages with my work. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting me know. But yeah, so Mindy, why don't you go ahead and kind of get your question together? Because you and I were talking earlier. Mindy purchased a Cycle of the Moon tarot journal that I designed. This was the first one I made. And she got it thinking that she could just, pick it up intuitively and just roll with it. And I think some people can. But you had mentioned, hun, that you were using Oracle with the journal. And so it was a little wonkadoo for you. And I would love to chat about it, about how we can kind of adapt what's going on here for what you're using with Oracle cards instead of tarot, which is what it was designed for. So I totally intend to dive in on that. But I also want to understand your question, so I direct or answer those directly as well. But also, if you have esoteric or spiritually based questions that you'd love to ask, please go ahead and just kind of jot them down or throw them into the comments, and we'll start chewing through them. We'll start conversing and talking about them, because I want to get to know you guys and know your questions and know what you're thinking on or chewing on or what you're experiencing. Aw, Denise says that she got the journal too. It's beautiful. I'm glad to hear that, Hun Bunch. I feel like I'd be amiss if I didn't talk about the other journals that I created in addition. So the Cycle of the Moon Tarot Journal, the purple one, is the volume 1. That's the first one that I created. This one in particular has 12 months of new and full moon tarot readings, but the way it's broken up, and I'll show you how, the way it's broken up is the first half of the year are all unique readings. So yeah, like all unique readings, that's what it is. But those unique readings are duplicated for the second half. So it gives you 2 opportunities to do the spread or do a reading based on whatever your criteria is. I wanted to create an additional one. So I created a kind of, see if the camera picks it up. There we go. This dust sand color, beautiful one. This is a volume 2. And it's also a Cycle of the Moon journal, volume 2, but this one has 24 unique spreads all through the year. So 12 unique full moon spreads, not 4, but 12 unique tarot spreads, 12 unique full moon, new moon spreads. And so you only do the same one once. And I mean, of course, you can always grab paper, do it again, but in the journal itself, for instance, this is the Going with the Flow spread. It gives you the layout of the cards, the questions. It gives you a place to write your question, kind of do your reading and journal about your response. But it also includes something that the other one didn't, is some journal pages where you can kind of, see if I can sketch it. There you go. Where you can sketch whatever your notes are at the top and then journal what you need to down at the bottom. So to me, I love both of them. They both have their strengths. They're both wildly useful if you're just looking for something simple and easy to kind of celebrate the new and the full moon. But both of these journals are made for the goal of continued self-development, continued growth, because that's kind of where I come from as a reader and a practitioner. I'm aiming to to help everybody level up their either personal practice, their relationship with their self, their gosh, I wish I could I wish I could give you the whole spiel of why I created these, but I'll read the back. We'll do that. In this new volume, you'll find 24 unique tarot spreads designed for spiritual growth, self-development, personal reflection, healing, and a few other surprises that we all can benefit from. Did that take so hard to read? It took so hard to read. Hi, Bernadette. I'm glad you're here, sweet pea. Kiana, hi. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Lori. Thank you. So let's take a look at your question. Mindy's asking about the journal. I wasn't sure how to pull the cards. I used the Angel Tarot, but when I had the cards laid out, numbered like multiple number one question, placements, do they have different meanings? Maybe just go briefly about how you do the spread. Absolutely. Okay, Mindy. Since you have the book, let's pull up an example. Okay. Let's see if we can find a full or an easy one. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. I don't even know what the next moon is, but we're just going to pretend with this one. So this is page 6 of the volume 1, and it's releasing blockages. And this is Mindy's first experience contending with questions being assigned to individual card placements. So let's chat about it. So this is how I would go through it. So if I have my cards and you have your Angel Tarot, I'm shuffling the cards, and I understand that this spread is going to give me information regarding releasing blockages because that's the spread that we've chosen. So that's essentially the energy that we're going with, right? So when we're shuffling the cards, we're looking at question 1, and you're kind of asking yourself that question in your mind until you feel that nudge to either stop, pull the card, one flips over out of your deck, whatever method you use to draw a card, you've asked that question and then you've pulled the card that's assigned to that. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, let me know which part doesn't, and I'll totally elaborate. So for me, what I like to do, especially when it's multi-card spreads, I shuffle, I feel the nudge to stop, and I select the card that it's connected to, and I just put it face down. And I go to number 2, kind of looking at the question. What am I holding on to? I feel the nudge to stop. Number 2. Why do I refuse to let this go? Really good question. Now for this, I just felt the nudge not to shuffle. I'm just going to pull the next card, put it down. How can I release this habit? I kind of want to shuffle, but we're going to hypothetically just pull the next card. How can I heal this habit? We're going to shuffle. How can I heal this habit? I feel the nudge there. I'm going to pull this card. And I'm just laying them out in the design of that spread. The design of the spread is not super rigid. So if, for instance, you don't have enough room to do the full circle, like this one in particular, or do the full layout, just kind of mentally note, all right, that's card number 1, that's card number 2, that's card number 3. It doesn't have to be super rigid, right? I love flexibility. I love how tarot can be flexible and just adapts to your needs. And so for card number 6, advice for moving forward, shuffling. I want this card, and I have it pulled down. Okay, so for me, all of my cards are face down. For me, I do that because it's preventing me from looking in advance and getting overwhelmed by the information or anxious by, oh my goodness, that's a strong card. What does that mean? And getting distracted. Because sometimes, I don't know about y'all, but I sometimes rabbit hole and who knows where I go. So in order not to do that, I leave the cards face down and I just flip them up over one at a time. So like in this situation, card number 1 space is what is my current focus. I have my card number 1. What is my current focus for releasing blockages? I have the 9 of Pentacles. So Mindy, if you had pulled hypothetically even your Oracle card or Angel card or your Tarot card, and it's this, you interpret this card meaning in relation to that question. So what is my current focus? For me, it looks to be about resources. It looks to be about things that I can tangibly touch, maybe the efforts of my business. Pentacles tend to be a lot about the practicalities of life, the tangible resources of life. So for me, this would be one of those things where this is my focus right now. It happens to be true, where I am focused on the resources of my life. And so this card, that's what it answers. It answers that specific question. Oh, Sandrine's like, Moon is in Aries. Good to know. Is it a new or a full one? I've not been keeping up as well as I could have, especially being a new and full moon person. So for card number 2, what am I holding on to? I have the justice card. And so for me, the meaning of justice is often seeking balance or seeking fairness, maybe seeking fairness or balance between two options, two situations. The Two of Pentacles can kind of lean that way too. But usually when the justice card shows up, we're looking for fairness between options or between sides. And that actually seems to be something that I'm working on between two elements of my business and then also in relation to myself. So that makes a whole lot of sense for me regarding this spread. And so what I would be doing is just kind of jotting that little interpretation of how I feel like that card answers that question, if that makes sense. Number 3, why do I refuse to let this go? I have to laugh at myself now. So I feel like I'm essentially reading myself. So yeah. So I have the 5 of Wands because I have a hard time with things that are easy. Like I have a limiting belief where things are hard. Good things are hard. Somehow I got it stuck in my head that the better things are, the more you have to work for them. So if something comes too easy, I don't believe it. And so sometimes I end up needlessly fighting myself. So to answer the question, why do I refuse to let this go? Because I don't want to, because fighting myself is easier and more fun and more interesting. And, it just continues from there. Just continues from there. Hi. She said, oh, my confusion lies when there are multiple cards for each question. That makes sense. Sorry, I should have been more clear. Not a problem. Are there different meanings like past, present, future, or do they all apply to the present? Okay, so if we have a hypothetical situation that produces that kind of scenario where I'm shuffling and 2 cards hop out for my my 4th question, how can I release that habit? Okay, so I'm going to pretend let's do these 4. Okay, I got 4 cards for that one question. Just popped out, that's what we'll use. So when I'm interpreting this pile into that question, I'm reading that pile as one narrative story, if that makes sense. So let's look at it. Upside down. Oh, I got all the same cards I got before. Talk about shuffling. So how can I release this habit? So the first card that hopped out was the Hangman. So I would kind of focus that first card as kind of like the start of the story. So the start of the story for me in relation to these cards that also came out would be taking a moment to, I think words suspend disbelief come to mind first. So it's like you have to take that moment to suspend disbelief and to step out of what you think you know, right? So, and then I go into reading these cards as kind of like a narrative story. So I'm trying to figure out where you are. There you go. So I have the Ace of Pentacles in relation to money. I have all the resources that I need and I'm learning how to get more, but I'm struggling with trying to figure out balance. And it is easier to fight myself than fight other situations, hypothetically. And for me, kind of narrating the story, it's not so much past, present, or future per se. It's all part of that one answer. Just the more cards you have, the more dynamic the answer can get. And if you're not really experienced in kind of compartmentalizing answers that way, sometimes it gets muddy and you start losing track with what the response to the question is. So just I think that makes sense. If it doesn't, again, totally let me know. I'm all for explaining. I usually, when I'm doing spreads like that, I kind of have like an internal monologue that I will not accept more than 2 cards per question, because it's just like, I don't really want to do more than 2 cards. If it's really quick on time, I'll just kind of note like, yo, it's 1 question or 1 card a question. We can't do more than that right now. And just know in advance, I'm only pulling 1 card. I'm only pulling 1 card. And it's kind of encouraging not only the way you shuffle, but encouraging your cards and yourself to be concise, because it is really easy to slip down, the Alice in Wonderland looking glass and go down a rabbit hole that pulls you away from what your original intention was by coming to the spread to begin with. If that mouthful makes sense. So let me finish this out. Now, how can I heal this habit? I'm gonna pull 1 card. Ooh, how about 2 cards? Okay. Last card, advice for moving forward. I have 2. Little tarot tip. If you use multiple decks. If you have multiple decks and you like using multiple decks, you can do what is called like a light and a shadow. Um, and for me, what I do is actually use two different color tones of cards. So one card that's all gray or all black and white, and another card that is all super colorful and playful. And the super colorful and playful could be the light side, while the black and white deck is the shadow side. And what that ends up doing is showing you light side is what it's on the surface. It's what's on the outside. It's what everybody can see. Then you have the shadow side, which is a little bit more psychological, a little bit more recessed. That's the deep dive shadow work side of the answer. And you can kind of give yourself two answers per question, the outward presenting side and then the internal psychological side. If you're ever interested in doing like deep dive psycho work, that is some good stuff there. But to follow up, how can I heal this habit? Aw, look, I'm told to understand I'm a youngin'. I'm a youngin' in my game, so it's totally okay to be exactly where I'm at. And with the Page of Cups, it's that slight feeling of a fish out of water. And so just starting things that are new, just beginning anew, and not necessarily being a master at the little things in which I've started. Advice for moving forward. The one thing I don't have is patience. So y'all have to bear with me when I don't have patience. And then the Knight of Wands. So this is a funny card set when you have a card that talks about slowing down versus a card about just go already. So maybe have patience with the seeds that you've already sown. They'll grow in time, and then just move on and just keep it moving. But those are lots of fun to do when you're digging on something, or when you're wanting to play with your cards, but you don't know what to read about, or maybe you're just kind of getting one with yourself for a little bit. And so it's like, there's the volume 2, that's the sand colored one. If you haven't seen it, we also have the Daily Celtic Cross, which Mindy is a little bit different than the one that you have, because it's just 30 pages or 30 days of the Celtic Cross itself. So it's not so much a question, but it's a card position, and each card position is spelled out, and then you interpret the cards in relation to that position. I just write my questions at the top and then go through the cards that way. I've filled so many of these out because I love it. I kind of get little projects in my head, especially when I'm starting new things or new business adventures, where I want to be militant or vigilant about the status of myself or my status in relation to something else. And I will do a 30 days of tarot reading on business, on creativity, on my relationship, on my wellness, whatever it happens to be. And it's so fun to do. So fun to do. So that's always a good one. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this one, because I've only had just a few of these sell, but this one's a little bit more advanced. So this is a 9-card tarot journal where it's based on the Lenormand style of tarot reading. And so this has a different layout completely, but it's a 9-card spread. Let me actually share the link to where those are findable on Etsy. There we go. Just so that you have it in case either you're interested or if you want to look at more pictures on the inside of these books. So to type in, I'm legit trying to go into my journal right now, like on Etsy. Journal. Let's see. Not that one. Oh, those are the sold out ones. Nope, I want the active ones. There we are. View on Etsy. I love that you guys get to basically like see me work in real action or real life. View on Etsy. There we go. One more. One more. View on Etsy. There we go. So here in a second, I want to have number 1, and let me know if it pulls for you, because it's no use at all if you can't see the link. If you can't see the link. Let's try it. There we go. Next one is this one. And And if it doesn't let you in, let me know and I'll figure out another. And the Lenormand. Sweet. Mindy says she's got it. Perfect. Good to know. Good to know. All right, sweet peas. Well, that was my big spiel that I wanted to touch base on, but this rest of my time here is for you guys. I wanted to make sure that we have the opportunity to talk about basically kind of anything that's important to you guys regarding spirituality, regarding like your spiritual development or anything that's going on for you. I know, Mindy, like you're just kind of like introducing friends of yours into the sphere. And how cool is that you get to share all these fun things with you all or with you? And thank you so much for kind of like including me in on the funs and the games. So I look forward to whatever questions or whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm here for y'all. I'm here for y'all. I'm just realizing how hot I am too. So if I get like extra glistening, it's just one of them days, y'all. It's just one of them days. So let me make sure I'm in the, there we go, comments. That's a very good question, Denise. Am I ever going to teach? You know, the funny thing about being an educator is I feel like there's a responsibility there that I don't know if I'm prepared for. I like being a coach. I like being somebody that shares knowledge and shares information. And if you learn from it, great. But to strategically build something that looks like, this is what we're learning today kind of thing, I'm not so sure if I'm game for that. And it's just, I have so much respect for educators. I know that knowledge and education is so needed and so useful, but I prefer the role of coach. I prefer the role of, you've already done a lot of your own work. You're managing through, and I can maybe assist with filling in some of the gaps or the nuances or just giving a perspective. Because sometimes just having a perspective is useful because it gives you an opportunity to see, oh, it can be done a different way. It can be done another way. It doesn't have to be the black and white doctrine or dogma that I was steeped in by this philosophy. And I've had a couple situations where I've asked to educate and I've asked to teach, and I'm just like, I've done it, and I'm like, oh, this is I don't know if I'm skilled there. Like, I have skills, I have talents. I don't know if my skills necessarily in teaching, but I love the idea of coaching. So if like, again, I know here soon I have like mulling around the ideas of doing skill-based like courses, but not actually a course. It's more of like maybe a workshop, I guess, where I hypothetically I've created these videos that talk about an element within tarot or an element within a tarot practice. For instance, like I love past life work. Love that stuff. I deep dive in past work stuff or past life work all the time. And I would love to be able to share some of the things that I do in past life work with you all. But educating you from the ground up on past life tarot is just, that's more of a responsibility than I think I'm prepared for. But I would love to like, oh, you have a relationship dynamic with you and you want to see what it is? Let's dig in. Let me show you how to do it. And I would love to kind of share and coach with that. When it comes to health and wellness, if you're looking to understand the energetic situation in your body that is contributing to your current health condition, I have spreads and work for that for days. And I'd love to show and share how to do that kind of work, but then leave the interpretation to you guys, or leave the, give you the tool and then you run with it kind of thing. Or maybe even like alternative ways to interpret cards or alternative ways to relate to your cards, kind of stuff like that. I think that I think you get it. I think you get it. Denise is like, I feel you. Sweet. What about, oh, there you go. A paid workshop. Yeah. Again, it's infrastructure. It's figuring out how to do it. It's figuring out how my time and space commitments work, because like Q1 is set up for me to elevate the number of listings that I do every day for my store so that I can meet the financial goals of my store. So that Q1 is plotted out. Now Q2 is going to be plotting out more journals. Less tarot specific, but more just journals. So that's what my Q2 focus is design wise. Now Q3 is prep for Q4, which is the busiest season of my year. So in Q3, that gives me the space and the opportunity to kind of like, okay, so if I want to launch something in Q1, which is like paid workshops, then that might be really, really useful to kind of plot out the infrastructure for getting that done so that it is accessible, it's easy, and that there's still an element of community to it. Because I'm not a big fan of workshops where it's all pre-recorded and then yes, it's your own pace. That's awesome, but there's detachment from like the person that you went to go kind of learn from. So I would want to schedule partially, what would you call it? Partially pre-recorded, partially live, and then plenty of like takeaways or PDFs or other little elements that are useful, so you actually have something tangible, workable that you leave with. So I'm a big person on like, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I need you to have something to take with you because I don't want you to show up and leave with nothing. That's not what I want. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, CP. A answer. You love my oh, I love Ancestry Work, dude. I one of those days I might show you how I went about creating a book of ancestors, and that might be an interesting little workshop to do, like maybe over the space of a couple weeks of that'd be cool actually, wouldn't it? Or just, I don't know, Abby is kind of like brainstorming now, thinking about how cool it would be. Because I know a lot of you have ancestral work that you want to do, you have ancestors that you want to commune with, and I create, like, how some people create ancestral altars. I made an ancestral book, and that's where all of my ancestry lies. And anytime that I want to connect more intimately with a particular loved one, I go there and I jot down the spread and the work that I do there. That just seems like a lot of fun. See, I'm telling y'all in advance the stuff I'm gonna be doing next year. So you'll have to remind me, have to continue to tell me that this is stuff that you're interested in, because then I'll totally, I'll just have to do it then. Just have to do it. Did you receive that past life astro book from eBay? Past life astro book. Past life astro book. I don't know your reference, Sweet Pea. Because the one that I know is the Ancestral Tarot that we got. I think Sandrine and I both have a copy of it. I think we both did Amazon for that, right? And the eBay one, Past Life, dude, Past Life Astro book from eBay. I think you might need to like show me. Oh, that was meant for Mindy. Here I am trying to like, I have no clue what you're talking about. It wasn't even for me. Wasn't even for me. All in fun stuff. You can, if you do a full course and sell it on Udemy. That's interesting. I do like Skillshare over Udemy just because of the user interaction, but that's just me. Again, I don't know how you feel about being like a teacher. Hey, Kaylani. I don't know how I feel about being a teacher. Y'all have to. Well, Kaylani, actually, this Sweet Pea here, she has taught tarot to others. If you're new, Sweet Pea, or you haven't heard the spiel just a minute ago, we were talking briefly about being an educator within tarot, and how, me personally, I'm not so much a fan of the idea of being an educator, but I love the idea of coaching. I love the idea of like sharing skill sets, or sharing how I do a process on something. And we're just talking about how maybe not this year, because this year is kind of slated, but next year, possibly creating the infrastructure to do like little workshops, so that I can either share the skill sets like in a choose your own adventure kind of way, or like, I don't know, I have ideas for days on it, but that's where we're going. That's where we're going. See, but again, they already had the whole skill set that you taught them. I just gave them an alternative perspective, and I can engage, I can converse, I can talk, I can answer questions just from like this point of view, but I wasn't necessarily responsible for building the foundation to which they built the rest of their tarot knowledge from. So maybe it's just, I don't want to like break anybody. I think that might be just it, but it's all good. It's all good. You'll work it out. Thank you, hun. Thank you, hun. But yeah, if you have any questions, spiritually related or tarot related, or Mindy, I know you got like reselling for life over there. I'm down just to converse or talk about anything that you're interested in, and anything that you're open for. My perspective on XYZ. So if you have those questions, please feel free to throw them in. I'm keeping my eye on them comments. But thank you so much, Kehlani, for that lovely comment. They were really cool to chat with. And I remember being, I don't remember. Oh, because the bar that's there, or the area that you had the little course in, was right next door to a place where I interviewed, and was told that my design skill set wasn't as amazing. And they changed, well, it was good, but they changed the job description when I got there, and now I no longer qualified. So I was so bummed. It's like, you brought me here to tell me that I no longer qualify for the job that I was hiring for. Ugh. It was like after that, and after being rejected by Amazon, I was like, nope. My wife gave me permission, quote unquote, to like full on into tarot, and it's been never looked back, never looked back. Aw, you love how I've slowly grown the skill set. And thank you for sharing all that you do. Girl, you're gonna make me blush. Thank you. And I'm always, always, always growing. I always want to continue to grow. I always want to refine my skill. I always want to get better at any of the skills that I do. Because it's like, to me, being stagnant is like the same as death. Knowing everything is death to me. So it's just, no, I have to keep growing. I have to keep learning. I have to I have to keep evolving. Otherwise, what's the point? At least to me. Sandrine has an interesting question. What do you think about people who are spiritually abused people? Thread on Twitter. Ooh, people taking advantage. People who spiritually abuse people. That's insane. Okay, so I understand there's so many ways to live, right? There's so many ways to live. And I've seen spectrums of things. One of which being, okay, so being raised in the church, Catholic, Baptist, Southern Arkansas, that's where I used to live. Being raised in the church, I witnessed priests, nuns, spiritually demean people, myself included. I've seen and witnessed, like, I've also seen parents kind of Bible thump their children, right? I've been in classrooms where students who are Southern Baptists come up to me or my friend who are kind of agnostic at the moment and tell us how we're going to burn in hell and we're going to die and so forth and so on. Hey, Miss Ebony. So I also, okay, one of my old jobs, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was really cool and weird all at the same time. I also know there is a community of people who like it, who like behaving that way to others and receiving that behavior from others. So that Twitter thread that you're mentioning, I don't know the context, so I don't have a whole lot to speak from. But personally, Abby finds that behavior deplorable. Like, just, I'm not one to do it. I don't want to do it to others. I will accidentally defend people who are being subject to that because I just don't find it fair. I don't find it reasonable. I don't think it's okay. But our whole society has been built on spiritual abuse or spiritual warfare or spiritual something because somebody believes one way and somebody else doesn't. You know, so it's like we've had witches that have been burned at the stake for eons, right? We have the Inquisitions because of religious belief. You know, we have countries rising and falling because of spiritual beliefs. What was it? Rome, who was polytheistic, got kind of not necessarily knocked out, but over time was it Rome that, see, I need to go back to my theology classes. Where was it Rome that was trying to take out Christianity, or Christianity that was trying to take out polytheism? Like, I don't know these things, so I'll totally have to double back and figure it out. But it's been happening forever, and it seems like regardless if it's spirituality or if it's science or if it's math, there is always somebody that is looking to be above somebody else, and with that sometimes comes abuses, and it's wildly unfortunate, and it's completely deplorable on my side, and I won't be okay with it at all. But I think y'all know that. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. Do you, I'm assuming you're asking, do I watch Dante or Dite? No, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. If you tell me who, what kind of person that is, or if they're, I mean, you're from YouTube, so I'm assuming this might be a YouTube personality. Tell me about who they are. I can probably tell you if it's something I'd even be interested in, because sometimes my interests are varied. Right now, I'm watching a ton because I'm also working a lot on Etsy and on the store. I'm watching a lot of historical uh, documentaries. I'm going to mute so that I can cough real quick. So excuse me. My wife always laughs that every time I cough, the windows in our house explode because I have lungs for days. Oh my goodness. Hi, Miss Sarah. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Oh, she's explaining. Context was trying to make them say, oh, there you go. Make them say spells for their ancestors or guides, but it was truly a spell for the reader to be inappropriate with them saying, yes, the guides told me to do this with you. Even that's obnoxious and deplorable. Thoughts on that, dude? I understand that spirituality is kind of like school in a way. If you have people who are new to the field or new to the atmosphere, new to the culture, then there's always going to be somebody that could possibly take advantage of them, and it's just because lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of power, self wisdom in that regard. And so if that person believes that this other person saying ancestral spells or ancestral work for them is helpful, in a way, who am I to try to take that from them, right? But the person who's being asked to do this kind of work then coming back saying, your guides told me to cuss you smooth the fuck out because you're a terrible human being and you blah 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 blah. That's insane. That's insane just in my own little private world. And I wish it was purgeable, but we have all of these liberties, right? We have all of these free speeches, right? I don't know. Internet does some crazy things. Crazy things. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm still contending with the people who use our images, mine, to get money from other people in my community, like in my specific community, for readings that I don't do because I didn't take the money. So some of that stuff shows up too. And anybody that kind of like swoops into the comments and does the whole like, I feel a message from your ancestors. They're telling me to tell you blah, 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 blah. Now just give me blah, blah, blah so that I can do the thing. I understand. It's just like snake oil salesman, right? You know, you get burned the one time and you know not to do it ever again. I think it's up to all of us to kind of educate the people that we're around, hopefully not to fall for those kind of things, but also to let people know that those things are a thing. Like let them let them learn, yes, but also help and support them so they don't have to make stuff or make mistakes like that again. Oh, it's a historical channel. Ooh. I might, okay, so I'm totally going to like come back to this and grab that name and go look because I'm all for learning. I'm all for learning. I love learning now, like because I've revisited a lot of things that I used to obsess on when I was younger. Now with my kind of grown-up lens, my 36-year-old frame of reference of lived experience and different shifting worldviews, I love history in a way that I just wasn't prepared for. And so I've been just ingesting and understanding and learning. And the big thing that I feel like it reminds me every time is that one, we don't know everything. We don't know everything about everything. And two, if I had that person's lived experience and their worldview, I would probably do the same XYZ thing that they did, even if I don't agree with it as I am today. So I try to give a half ounce of grace when people like relative insane people that we know, if I had their lived experience, if I was raised the way they were, and I had the same worldview they have, I probably would behave the same way. And that just makes it more human for me. So it's interesting learning how people behave. Me and my wife both are very like involved and invested in psychology and how people think and how people operate. So we really enjoy stuff like that. We really enjoy stuff like that. That's a beautiful question. What's the best way to start reading tarot for yourself? First is buy two decks. I always say two decks. Two decks of cards. One, a Rider-Waite Smith deck that looks kind of like, you know, the same classic whatever, right? That we've always seen. And that's going to be the deck that you use to learn from, because the majority of the tarot market is surrounding the Rider-Waite Smith system. So you buy a first one that's either like the yellow box or the Centennial edition. The backs don't matter. It's the images that you're looking for. Get an image that you dig, or get a set that you dig image-wise there. And then get your second set that is visually appealing, that you're visually stimulated by, that you really like connecting with. I'm trying to see if I have anything out that I can show you real quick. Ooh, if I run away, you're gonna see all of my inventory on the floor. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, okay? As I scoot away. And I scoot back in. So this is my Light Seers Tarot, and this is the Kickstarter edition. So this is different for me, but it's you've probably seen it in my earlier stuff a lot. Hold on. This set has pretty visuals, and so this is the set that I spend time with. This is the set that I understand who I am in relation to with, you know. This is a deck that I learned from. This is where I do the exercises, I do the work, I do anything that's just learning and rote memorization. And the reason that I set it up that way, or I encourage people to do it that way, is because you'll have your deck that is just a tool. You're not precious about it. It's a tool. You get shit done with it. And then you have the one that you love and you cradle and you adore, right? So this will keep you coming back to tarot. This will keep you learning tarot. And then the more familiar you get with both, the more you start to realize where they overlap and how they work and how they operate and how you can expand from there, if that makes sense. Once you have those two decks, I suggest a guidebook that is easy for you. So there's a million. There's a million. One of my first ones that I really, really liked was a massive mammoth book called Tarot Made Easy, because it had a lot of. Do I have it still? Is it in here? Hold on. I'm looking at my collection. I'm almost certain I have it. I don't think I would have sold it. I love that one too much. Oh, I've sold it. Oh, dude, I think I did sell it. Shame on me. Anyway, okay, so it's called Tarot Made Easy, and that book is so thick because for each card, it has a lot of categories spelled out, and then it gives the card meaning in relation to the categories. So as you're learning and as you're playing with tarot, you start to understand that this meaning is not exclusive, and it's moldable depending on the situation. Once you have your guidebook and you start working with it, you start small with either a card a day, 2 or 3 cards a day, and then just continue to play as you feel inspired. Like, that's kind of the fun with it, is just hopping in, diving in, and playing. Play with other people if they let you. If you have a community on Facebook or in Twitter or on Instagram, get more active and get friends that are also tarot obsessed along with you, so that you guys can talk in tarot and learn. Also, it's just however you start, just try to remember, if at all possible, that there's more than one way to do everything. So you have that one person that's going to say, this is how it's done. And then you have this other person who's like, I don't give a shit. Who cares? Find what works for you, and then use that until the cows come home. And then if your skills change, if you want to do something different, then do that. But tarot in itself is so expansive, and it evolves, and it is so progressive that there's not one black and white way to do tarot. So I hope you get involved. I hope you get involved in tarot. It is so wildly useful. Oh, he let me know that it's National Geographic, but better. Totally doing that. Sarah says my guides have a few choice words for them. So, well, I bet. Watch. Oh, is it you? Watch You by DT. Oh, Watch Us by DT. Known. It's very educational. Sweet. Will do. What do you think of those house hunters, divers that find items that are sealed, that look like rituals, and open it out of curiosity? Do things happen to those people, or who the initial was for? Ooh. Hunters, divers that find items that are sealed. that look like rituals and are opened it out of curiosity. So that reminds me of stuff like the curse of like Tutankhamun's sarcophagus, and how the sarcophagus had spells etched into it, and every person that had opened the sarcophagus then passed shortly after. And I love that. What do you think? Dude, I'm fully aware that there are things that I have no knowledge of, that I have no awareness of, that are just fun to understand, fun to be a part of, fun to be aware of. If it works, hey, it worked. If it doesn't, hey, it's history. But on the flip side, also, I think it depends on the culture in which that item is from. If it is a living culture, then probably allowing members of that living culture to experience that item first as it is before just broadly opening it. If it's a deceased culture or an ancient culture, then, why not open it and see what's in there? Or put it back, someone else is going to open it. So I guess it just kind of depends on, the context of the situation, as with most things. As with most things. Do a reaction video. We'll see. Which book? Oh, what was who's the author of? Oh, okay, got you. Let me see if I can hunt it down real quick for you, hun. Tarot read easy. It's Nancy Green is what came up. There she is. Where'd she go? Yeah, Nancy Green. It's a big old chunk of a book. It's really, really easy, and it's a good start. I don't agree 100% with all of the interpretations that she gives for some of the categories, but who cares? Honestly, it's like you will make up your own mind on the stuff that you read for over time. So it's all good. It's all good. You're very, very welcome, Sleepy. Oh, hey, Michelle. How are you, sweetheart? How do you get more vivid dreams? I love that Sandrine has questions for days. You guys can totally throw in some questions. I want to cut this off. You guys, if you have questions about spirituality or anything else that you'd love to get a perspective on, totally throw them in. I don't mind. I'm gonna get rid of this thing. I'm never wearing it again. I want to say that right now. Never wearing this thing again. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. But yeah, so Sandrine had a question about how do you get more vivid dreams? Do you induce yourself? How do you get more vivid dreams? So I guess I would love to know a little bit more, Sandrine, about what kind of dreams is it that you're aiming for, right? Because for me, when I have vivid dreams, I had vivid dreams yesterday. I dream in full color. I have full emotional experiences in those dreams. I wake up still feeling the emotional effects of those dreams, which sometimes can be awesome. I go to bed remembering kind of what it felt like to be in that dream. So for me, those are vivid dreams. But what kind of dreaming are we looking for? Because sometimes people just have a hard time remembering their dreams or remember that they have dreams. And usually even just getting to that point of remembering what your dreams are is a challenge. And usually what I encourage people to do is start having a notebook by the bed. And the moment that they wake up or they are aware that they are awake, start either writing or sketching out what your dream, one thing about your dream that you remember, even if it's just the feeling that you had inside the dream. When you go to bed, kind of just talking to yourself that I'm going to remember my dream, I'm going to remember my dream, I'm going to remember this dream, I'm going to remember this dream. That can sometimes be helpful because you're kind of priming your brain to record that information and allow you the opportunity to recall it. Because we all dream, we all have dreams. We have dreams every time we go to sleep. And we can't not have dreams, because if we do not have dreams, we will be clinically insane. Documentable proof. It's a scientific stuff. You don't dream, you go a little Ned. So if that makes sense. But totally let me know what kind of dreams are you aiming for with that? What kind of dreams are you aiming for? You like it? Sweet. Yes, ask. I'm a Gemini versus, so I'm asking a bunch of random questions. Honey, I apparently have a Gemini. I don't know what your he says versus, but I'm an Aries sun, Sagittarius moon, Gemini rising. I think. I'll have to look that up again. Are you introducing your child to tarot? Yeah, actually, Jay is already versed. Jadis is my son. He is 15 years old, and he's been exposed to tarot as long as I've been working professionally with tarot. The business has been around for 2 years, so I would say like his first like in-depth kind of like connections with tarot was when he was about 13 then. And he just got interested because it was what I was interested in. And so because I was interested around it, I started like, hey, this is what this means. This card is kind of cool. Hey, look at those cards. Shuffle them and pull one. Let's see what shows up. And now he has his own decks of cards, and my heart just is so happy when he comes out and talks about how he's going through some dating something, and he did a tarot reading for himself, and it said this, and this, and I'm stuck on tarot reading for myself. I'm just like, oh my god. And so every now and then he'll pull out his cards and he's like, Mom, what does this mean? I'm like, well, what's the question? Like, tell me what your question was. I wanted to know such and such. I'm like, all right, well, let's look at it. And then he has 3 cards, and I'm asking him to tell me his pull on it first. And he's usually spot on. Like, he's not necessarily wrong, as it's more of like, this is his perspective, this is his understanding, and this is how it makes sense to him. So it's not invalid. I just let him have it. And then I give a little more. And then he runs off with it, and he's super excited. And I'm just proud for, forever that he does that. So that's freaking cool. Just regular, just regular vivid. I love how you said that, honey, because I don't know if that's a thing. Regular vivid. Is there like mild vivid, regular vivid, extra vivid? Like, it's subjective, right? So I guess I'm the reason I giggle is because to me it's just, that's a funny statement, and I love you for it. But if you're looking to increase the nature of your dreams, right? Hey, if mugwort works, do it, hon. If it doesn't, maybe switch to something else. I want to so bad have a psychedelic experience. And one of these days we'll have, I don't know if it'll be like LSD or shrooms or whatever it happens to be. One of these days we'll have that, and maybe that'll give me like a lived or a vivid dream experience when I do actually get to sleep. But just like vivid dreams while sleeping, like for me, my experiences, my dreams are always strange, weird, and unusual, just because that's how my dreams are. And so for me, that's my normal daily experience. So wherever you're at versus where you're trying to go with dreaming, to me, it's understanding what and why. So if you're trying to do a little bit more dream work, then maybe doing some research on people who have done that kind of work or done that kind of transition, so that they can give you something specific about that journey. Because for me, that's my lived experience. So I don't know how to get there because I've always been there, kind of thing. Like, I don't know how to get to Omaha, Nebraska. I've been living here my whole life, So that's just my thought. And that's why I have to giggle, because it's like, regular vivid. What do you mean, hun bunch? I don't have a specific, just increase the nature. Got you. I don't think you necessarily have to do it chemically. I think if it's a mixture of your intention with your actions on exit of your dreams, because you're always having dreams, what we're looking for is trying to remember our dreams. So if after you wake up, if you go into like, nope, I gotta write it down, and you're writing it down, or maybe you're drawing your dreams out, like for you, it keeps coming up, like maybe sketching your dreams, grab some color pencils, grab some markers, grab some watercolor, whatever it is for you, sketch this stuff out. How cool could that be? That could be a fun little way for you to spend more time remembering your dream, or in that cognitive awareness of your dream, so that you can remember them, and have, more lucid experiences, if maybe that's down the road something that you're looking to do. I hope that makes sense. Regular vivid. I'm glad you do, Mindy. I'm glad you do. We might make a habit out of doing like first Fridays like this, where it's just Q&A, conversation, exploring questions, stuff that comes up over your month, because I want to make sure that I attend to all y'all. Do you come from a spiritual background? Is your family supportive? Surprisingly enough, my background is in medicine and design. Like, I have a bachelor's of science in industrial design. So I went to school to become a product designer. And that is after I went to school originally to become a surgeon. I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. and tend to people that way. So living a spiritually based life, or an analytically spiritually based life, was total left field. Like, that was not ever a thing I thought I was going to do. But that's what's happening. My family is supportive. My mom gave me my first set of cards. And that was fun. I call it my hostage negotiation, because at that time I was in the middle of a little like candle ritual in my room, and my mom walked in, and she was a little bit panicked, not because I was doing something weird in my room, but just that there were so many candles lit, and I'm 13, so that was a fire hazard. So she exchanged the candles for a deck of tarot cards, and I've had a loving relationship with them ever since. So my mom is intuitively inclined. Her skill set, love my mom. Love my mom. Sometimes I wonder, we have we have ethics conversations pretty frequently, because I work in the community and she's kind of on the skirts of the community in her area. We have ethics conversations about appropriateness and what's your space, your lane, consents, things of that nature. So sometimes we have those conversations, but my mom has her own skill set, but I've developed mine outside of hers. So I had the support, but my skill sets were different than hers. But she had enough kindness to not crucify or vilify me for having interests or intuition or psychic inclinations or even telekinetic experiences when I was younger. That was fun. That was actually, well, it wasn't fun, and it was hard going through that aspect of puberty when shit around your house starts breaking because you're pissed off. So that's fun stuff. Fun stuff. You dreamt about this war 6 months ago? Cool. Yeah, I mean, the moment that the idea is put into creation and plans are put into place to make that happen, make that a thing, it is not unusual for people to dream about it. Because if we're all connected, right? Esoterically, we say this a lot. We're all one. We're all connected. We're all connected through the divine, blah, 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 right? We all say we are in some way, shape, or form. Then there's no reason why the energy and the idea that is created on one side of the country does not travel and is curable by you. I think of energy, thoughts, dreams, ideas like vibrations moving the webs of the spiders nearby. You can have a thing happening way over there. If your little line happens to be connected to something close by, your little feelers are going to pick it up. So to me, it's not surprising at all that you would have dreamt about it. I'm not interested. So my little spidey sense isn't connected to it. So for me, no, it never came up in anything that I did, because that's not where my focus is. If my focus was on political climate, world development, things of that nature, which I bet you anything it will as I get older and more mature as a woman and as a member of the society, I bet you anything I'd be right there with you. Like, nope, that's coming down the pipeline. I can see it in the forest. I can feel something going on. I'm pulling cards. I'm doing reads. I'm talking to guides, guardians, and ancestors. Like, what's happening, honey? What happening? So I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let's see. Denise Hunt Bunch. I love that you let us get to know you better. Trust building for sure. I appreciate that. I tend to live I grew up in the South in Arkansas. When I was a teenager, I learned by being in school not to live a life to which I have something to be ashamed of. So one, shit I do that I feel like I need to hide. And if I do something I need to hide, I don't need to be doing it. It's just kind of how I live. And so I don't mind talking about a lot of aspects of myself. I don't mind talking about nuances to my personality or my skill set or my business. Now, there might be things that I keep for specific reasons, but there's specific reasons. Outside of that, me, whatevs. Let's see. What's your opinion about the origins of human beings on Earth? Evolution or aliens, or Earth evolution aliens? Dude, you're like tapping on one of my favorite conversations. I dig it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I am not willing to believe that our galaxy is so small that this is the first iteration of humanoids on this planet. I think this planetoid has been here too long for that to be a thing. So very, very, very likely, maybe this formal presentation of humans is new, but life in some way, shape, or form, it just doesn't seem possible that it's new to this planet, right? And so, how did we get here, or how did life get here? The scientific idea is that we stemmed from a pool of amino acids that did the thing, and then life happened shortly thereafter. So, how was those amino acids um, inserted, for instance? Hell, why not aliens? Why not interstellar travel? Why not? Because our planet, not our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, if you go that far out, oh my god, our spiral galaxy, I love that shit. If we go that far out, we go into our neighboring galaxies. If we go into the universe in itself, it's too damn big. It's too big. I mean, you have simple law of averages, then of course there's life in other planets, there's life in other areas. And I bet you anything, there's mingling in some way, shape, or form. If it's a asteroid that left one area and brought stuff and landed on this planet, then why not? Why not? I do live firmly by the belief that I do not know everything. I cannot know everything. I do not want everything in this brain. This brain would explode. So I accept that, hey, I have my lane and I get the information that I need for my lane. The last couple times that I've had those kind of little like thoughts, there we go. I was about to say thought bubbles, but thoughts running around in my head. I knew immediately there's no words for what I'm trying to like visualize, and that trying to verbalize it just diminishes the vastness of what it was I was actually visually experiencing. So it's just like, don't even try to explain it, because you will not be able to explain it in any way that gives it justice. So it's just like, okay, so I'm getting visuals, I'm getting amorphic shapes, I'm getting expansiveness that's insane amounts of large. And so that was as much as my brain could comprehend at that time before it just kind of popped and I had a headache for the rest of the day. You know, that's all I needed to know. I just knew it was big as hell. And there's no way that there couldn't be life somewhere else and us cross-pollinating in a way. So Earth, evolution is a natural side effect. I do think that occurs. Aliens, very likely. It's more likely than not. To me, that's like saying the sun is going to rise. It's almost like a natural fact. Of course there's aliens, because of course there's got to be life in other places. We cannot be so naive or so egotistical to believe that we're the only breathing organisms in this one little dot in an infinitely expansive area. If that makes sense. That's such a big conversation, and I love it so much. I love stars. I love the solar system. I love thinking about astrophysics. It's one of my favorite subjects of science. I love thinking about what is outside of the shell of our known universe and what's beyond that, what our universe is sitting in or bouncing in, or whatever that is. I love that. I love that. And then I usually wind up with a headache and I need to go eat and sit down because I done spent too much time in the clouds and now my head hurts and now I have to get regrounded. Because when we go that far out, we start to lose track of what matters in the physical form. We're like, nothing matters, because nothing matters. Nothing matters, It's like, hold on, I still have bills to pay. Got to come back. Still got things to do. I have a store to run. I got, family and lives and stuff. It takes a second to kind of pull yourself back down. But it's so fun. It's so fun to play up there. So fun to play. Sandrine, that's an interesting question, Sandrine. So skincare routine. I just recently changed a daily medication of mine. So I went from having normal skin or normal balanced skin to having reactive dry skin. So my eczema started to show up in my face a little bit more, and it was wildly reactive to the products that I was starting to use. So my basic sunscreen I couldn't use anymore because it gave me an allergic reaction, and then you have that whole healing process that occurs. So as of right now, I have reactive, eczema prone, dry skin. So the routine is morning and night. I have a hydrating wash that I use from CeraVe. I love that stuff. I then, depending on what the routine is doing, like I'm starting to introduce a retinol into the skincare routine to handle hyperpigmentation and fine lines and other fun stuff. But I'm slowly introducing it because, again, reactive skin. So start with a hydrating wash. After the hydrating wash, I use what's called a hyaluronic acid. It's an intense hydrator, and it pulls moisture in the air or in your moisturizer into your skin, deeper into your skin. And then I apply a light moisturizer. It's the sensitive skin moisturizer from Burt's Bees. It's nice and thin. I love it. I top that with a evening moisturizer from Aveeno because it has that calming effect to it with the colloidal oatmeal. So that's always useful. Again, an inflame-prone skin needs to be calmed. That stuff is awesome. I thoroughly recommend it. And then if I'm going about my day like normal, then I will either do makeup or not do makeup, but that will be like the base that I walk away from. If I'm going to bed, I will do that whole routine and then put on a thin layer of CeraVe's healing ointment on areas where I tend to be really dry, because some of the eczema needs steroids to break the cycle of the inflammation cycle. But you can also have a rebound effect from using steroids for too long. So I'll intermingle that between using a non-steroidal treatment. It's like Norzerol or something. It's like an anti-dandruff shampoo, but that chemical, the active chemical in that shampoo is like an anti-inflammatory. So it works really well when my eczema is flaring up. And I'll alternate that with an actual steroid cream. So yeah, I go back and forth between those two. What? Can you show us what you look like as a teen? Oh my goodness. Oh my, do I have any? Oh, I might have one in here. Okay, I might have one in here. Me and my sister. Hold on. I hope you didn't see my pants because I'm wearing pajama bottoms because, this is what it is. So I think I was 14 in this picture, and you get to see the under chin of my sister. So you'll have to forgive me, but it gives you a visual of my face. See if we can. Yeah, that's me at about 13, 14, I think is what it is. And I can't remember what happened and why my sister's laughing, but we're at her house in California and they said something and my hair looks terrible. You can't really see it, thank God. But I think I was about 13 in that photo. 13, 14. Do I have any older photos of me? Like teenager older photos? Because I have photos of like my mom, my I have like it's an ancestral photo. It's all the women in the family. For my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, me, because I just became a mom, and me holding Jadis, my son. So I have that picture. I have to look at my big old family album. I might be able to find you another one. What's the That's a really cool question, Sweet Pea. What's the most unique tarot deck that you have found at an estate sale, and did I sell it or keep it? Most unique. The funny thing is I have done maybe 6,000 sales on Etsy, and these are multi-quantity sales. So I've gotten so many cards over the years. Most interesting. One was a gift. It is a vintage Thoth deck tarot card. It's the larger size. It's about a $200 deck. It's not the most expensive one I've owned, but that was from an estate sale. That was gifted to me though. So I keep on to that because it's just like, oh, thank you. I don't use it, but it was a gift. Dude, if we start talking about the most expensive decks of cards that I've ever had, oh, that's another thing entirely. I totally want to see if my image is in that book, but let's see. I want to actually answer that question though. Most interesting. Other things that I get sometimes, this was funny. I had another reseller that's a picker. And if you don't know the term picker, those are people who go to estate sales for you, or they go for people because, I'm limited to what I can do because I have to run my business from here. And so he's like in the Midwest or in Florida. And so when he goes and does his own buying for resale, he also keeps an eye out for tarot for me. And so he got a hold of a box at a garage sale in his area, and I bought it from him, and he sent me just this box filled with all these cards. But they weren't just all cards. There were also pieces of card decks. So I ended up having one stack of the Rider-Waite-Smith, and it was about, that's about right. One stack of duplicates of half a deck. It wasn't even a full deck. It was like one half deck duplicated 4 or 5 times. I had like 6 copies of of like one card. It was very strange. And so I can't do anything with it. So I ended up breaking it down and turning it into Turo gifts that go into all of my shipments that go out. So that was a fun one. That was a fun box. I did an unboxing video on it actually, and it's on YouTube, of what was in that box and just trying to, because he was interested and he was curious as to like what all this stuff was. So I just kind of gave him some of my baseline understanding about some of the cards that were in there. And I don't know if I gave any values, but I was like, oh, I know this one. This is this. This is a vintage blah, blah, blah. And this is still mass marketly produced. This one hasn't been printed since or I haven't seen it since 1998. And this one is pre-1979 Rider-Waite Smith. So this has a $50 value, while this one has a $30 value, and this is why. So I think that was stuff that we talked about a little bit in that video. She looked this me and my sister. Oh my goodness. Oh, you have to run. Oh, you guys have fun. You guys have fun. You were expecting your hair to be out and huge. Oh, honey, my hair has only been out and huge as an adult. Like when I was younger, so being mixed race and are multiracial and living in a Caucasian household, my poor family didn't know what to do with my hair. And you can tell I don't have like hair that's like the normal pretty ringlets from what are classically African American and Caucasian, blendings. I am half Nigerian, and I have not 4C, but like 4A, 4B hair. Excuse me as I cough really hard. That caught me by surprise. So I have like 4A, 4B hair, and my parents didn't know what to do with it. So often I was struggling against a flat iron or struggling against, I'm going to start eye watering. I'm not crying. I'm literally eye watering from coughing. So I'm going to have to cough again. Excuse me. Much better. Okay. Struggling with chemicals, like your parents want to put a relaxer in their hair because they see it on TV, it works for their hair. My hair is too fine for that, and so basically it would break off. So I basically had like what would you call it, from like 6 years old till about 17, a persistent ugly duckling phase when it came to my hair. Like it was problem after situation after situation. And then I think it was because I was jealous about my first girlfriend being interested and another young lady that had big curly hair. I'm like, fine, I'm never going to process my hair again. And I basically have never put chemicals in my hair since. It's been colored, but it's never been chemically altered in that way since. So it's been a long time ago. It's been a long time ago. The oldest set of cards. The oldest set of cards I've had was, I can definitely say that they were older than 1930s. It was Rider-Waite Smith. It wasn't part of the Pam A, Pam B, Pam C, or Pam D collection, which is usually one of those really sought after ones. But I was able to date it between 1930s and 1940s. And I've had older Italian sets of cards that are all post 1900s. So they're antique, but they're not, ancient. I would love to get a hold of an actual 1700 set of cards, or if you go further back and go like old school Visconti, you can get those set of cards are probably older, and they might exist. I don't know. That might be fun. That might be fun. Your dream job is using other people's money and shopping. Yeah, that is a dream job, and there's people who do it, and it's usually because they're doing it for other people, but also because of their own business. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun though. I need to get more people who are willing to keep an eye out for tarot cards in other states, because I can't watch all markets all the time. And there's people who go out into thrift stores and find decks that are like $3 or $5. And I'm like, I will pay for that. I will absolutely pay for that. But also sometimes people go to thrift stores and they see a deck of cards that's, they charge $50 for it because they did their research. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that. Nope, that's not going to happen. And so I definitely don't want people to like, Abby's going to buy it, let me get it. And then I'm like, I will not buy it for that amount. And they're like, oh. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. That was an old set of cards. Yeah, I look forward to having older. If a celebrity asked you to be their personal reader, would I take it? Oh my gosh. Yeah, because there's a couple reasons. One of which would depend on the nature of the contractual agreement. Am I exclusively their reader and I don't read anybody else? Then that comes with a very high price tag. Now, if they're willing to pay for it, I'm all for it, honey. I will follow you around and read for you whatever you want. I will be your secret weapon. I will tell you when someone's lying to you or what's going on. I have no problems with that. But I also don't think that celebrities aren't the only ones that could use that. So if somebody else who is like maybe a politician or a business owner who just wants that continuous access to esoteric sidekick, that'd be cool. That would be really, really cool. Now, if somebody just wanted to buy a session with me and they happen to be a celebrity, I'm all in. Whatever, buy a session, have fun, come in and set up your time. I'd be all for it. But I don't necessarily like in the broad scheme of things, their celebrity doesn't make them special. The human experience is a human experience, regardless of what lens is attached to it. So they have the same drama that I have. They have the same trust issues that other people have. And there's something of value that can be given. And if they have questions about their uniquely specific work, we can dig into it. We can dig into it. So I think it'd be fun to read for a celebrity, but I also think it's fun to read for you all. So I dig it either way. You love thrifting. Ooh, and here in Tacoma and Seattle. Yes, we are lucky. Half price books knows the market when it comes to cards. So I don't buy there at all because I wouldn't make anything on it. Like if they, for instance, this deck of cards, they would probably charge $20. I would also charge $20, but then have listing fees on top of that. And then I have my VA and then I have running the business and then I have shipping. So I would basically pay them to take the cards. So unless I could get that $20 deck for $5, $10, there's no reason for me to waste my money over there. It just supports them. Hi, Michelle. It's just a Q&A, question and answers about anything that you're interested in, mostly regarding around the topic of spirituality and esoteric beliefs and structures and things of that nature. We did just have a conversation about my skincare and the oldest tarot cards I've ever had. But I love chatting with you all and answering your questions about whatever you're interested in about you. So it's all fun. But yeah, Denise, we are super lucky here in Seattle having our kind of thrift stores. It's really, really, really cool. Sandrine, yeah, she's good. She's good. Sandrine, she's also Taurus, if I remember correctly. So she's got thoughts for days. Like, are they homophobic or whatever? I know you have to be neutral. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think if they're homophobic, for instance, or if they're biased in some way, they wouldn't be attracted to my work to begin with. So I don't think that they would have to, but I don't think it'd be a thing. If I'm starting to notice that that is something in their system or in their lived experience, or that's what's going on in their situation, and they're kind of like lying to themselves and they've hired me and I'm witnessing it in our work, it would depend on the situation. Like, I love that you gave me that one specifically, because if they know that I'm gay, then they're not going to want to work with me to begin with. So I don't think it's going to be a thing. However, if they have some maybe like self-induced, like, was it self-flagellation? I forget what the word it is when somebody is homophobic because they're gay. That's an odd one. Then we will probably be working through that kind of situation in that scenario. I know you have to be neutral. I allow for two experiences to happen simultaneously. I will actually converse with my client to let them know, okay, so this part is what I'm getting from guides, spirit guides, the question that you're asking. That's this stuff. However, Abby is going to say, beat that ass or whatever it is, So I give them two perspectives because I know I'm being hired for this ability, this thing that I do, the song and dance that I do. But sometimes you also just need to be told, yo, and I'll go with that, if that makes sense. Sweet. There's supposedly a new Etsy style coming minus the fees. I don't know why Etsy would ever do that. Like maybe if it's like subscription based, like you can pay all your fees up front, hypothetically. I sell too much. They would lose money on me. But maybe they'll account for it. Because I know that they just raised their fees from 5% to 6.5%. So, and that's just their transaction fees. That's not including their shipping fees, and their listing fees is still the 20 cents. The payment processing fee is 3% plus 20 cents, I believe. So it's like if they can give you the option of paying that all up front, that or something else, that'd be interesting. It's probably like small seller, no fee kind of thing. Hi. Thank you. Mwah. I don't know who these people are. That's a bummer. It'd be worth knowing too. That's a bummer. I think like in situations like that, your ego would come. You're probably right, and there is a layer of professionalism that is implied, expected, and cultivated. However, I also suspect that if my ego is going to be triggered by this person, then they're not going to be interested in me to begin with. We're going to be oil and water in other ways that are fundamental, and I'm not going to be appealing to that person. So it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of other stuff that has to go right for it to get to that point. And in all reality, it's like, so long as they're not hurting themselves or hurting other people, I don't need to care what they're doing with the information, or I don't need to worry about my ego in that regard. But it kind of makes for an interesting conversation, though. I would love to explore that. I wonder what my stipulations or my standards would be in that kind of situation. What would I not do? Let's see. It would be a store, a whole new store. Oh, not from Etsy at all. Where would I get that? Hold on. So a new Etsy, but that's not on Etsy. Not on Etsy. Oh, you saw it on TikTok. So I'm not, yeah, until I hear Etsy release that information, then I would take it with a grain of salt until you know more. But that's kind of cool, though. You can say you've heard it first. All right, sleepies. I'd like to see you read face to face with a world leader. That would be interesting. Yes. Yes. And okay, for me personally, it would depend on the leader, because to me, I get real human to human quick. Like that's an innate skill that you learn how to cultivate. But if that person has to have like the perpetual upper hands, they will not like me. They will not like me. And it's because I would perpetually be trying to bring them down or bring them to level. And it's like, we have to be peers here, or this reading does not work, because I'm too busy trying to sidestep your I'm bigger than you kind of thing. And I don't need to work that way. Like, you can't make me do shit. So if I don't want to do this read, I'm not going to do this read. But if you were telling me to like read for one of our governors, hypothetically, what was it? The governor that did the Republican response to the presidential's Democratic State of the Union address. That woman isn't going to be interested in my work. She's just not going to be interested. However, I would give my left arm to read for Miss Harris. Let me read for Miss Mamala. I want to read for her so bad. I'll be her secret little sidekick. I will sleep under her desk. Like, let me let me be her friend. Let me be her reader. That'd be cool. Oh, bye, Denise. Yeah, we're about to roll out because it's about 3:30. It's a little over time for me. Abby versus Putin. Oh my goodness. That would be interesting, because it's like I would try to read for him like any other person, but what would he want to know? What would he ask about? Is he gonna? I doubt he would ask about the campaign he's running, and maybe he would. And then in that situation, would I give him accurate advice, or would I give him skewed advice to give him a disadvantage? Like, I think in that, since we put it out there, I don't know what I would do. I feel like a part of me wants to have the ethics to give him true, factual, real information, regardless of the outcome or who's affected, right? However, the politically aware person who doesn't necessarily agree with the stuff that's going on would probably be slightly inclined to like trip him, just want to trip him a little bit. But I don't know. I've never been in that situation, so that would be a very interesting experience to have to go through to figure out how would I behave. And we all like to say I couldn't do that or I wouldn't do XYZ. And I always remember until I'm in that situation, I am not going to know what I'm going to do because there's context, there's circumstances, there's situations. Like if he kidnapped me and said you have to read for me to escape and go back home, I will read for you as long as you want to. Like that's exactly what will happen. But if I don't know if it's some other weirdity that I don't know. There's circumstances, but I think you get it. I think you get it. All right, Michelle, you have a good night. Well, sweet peas, it's been super fun. It's been super fun. I do love these conversations with you all. I look forward to figuring out ways that we can do this more often. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up and say good night, say good evening. Have a great rest of your day. And if you ever have any other questions like this, again, totally let me know. I would totally love to do this more often. So yeah, you take care, sweet peas. Mwah. Bye. That was a terrible, terrible pitch. I'm so sorry about that. Bye.